All right, you want to say a prayer today or me?
You say a prayer.
Father God, I just thank you for this opportunity to talk to Miss Margaret again. I really like this little young lady, and I like what she's about. I like that she's running for office, and I pray that you're with her, put your hand of protection on her. I pray that everything we do here today glorifies you. They see your presence in what we're doing here, because you know that's what I'm about. It's not me, it's you. God, I ask that you put your hand of protection on her while she's leaving here. Make sure that nothing happens to her. Give her safe travels, and help her in her race. Help her reach the people she wants to reach. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
This podcast is brought to you by My Snackies. We're a family-owned Christian business that believes in traditional family values, loves America, and supports our service members. If you like freeze-dried candy, make sure you check out My Snackies at my-snackies.com. What's up, guys? It's another episode of Spoken Like a Man. I am the man, Donnie, and I'm sitting here with Miss Margaret Shabazz. I like this young lady. She's a woman of God, and she's running for City Council in District 6. Thank you, Margaret, very much for being here today.
Thank you for having me as a candidate running for District 6. I really appreciate it. I appreciate being here and speaking with you. It's always a joy.
Thank you very much. I try to make it fun. Well, I'm going to start this one a little bit different. So I'm not going to go into your race just yet. I want you to tell the people who you are. Tell them about like what you're doing for a career, what's making your qualifications for this. So who are you as a person before we get started into why you're running?
That is a very good question. Thank you for asking. So I am a single mother of two. I have a 20-year-old and a 9-year-old. I am a widow. My husband was a vet. I work in wind turbine, in wind. I do believe in being green. So I am glad that I work in that space and helping with energy. What makes me qualified for the job is, I believe, I've worked in supply chain for 11, 12, 13 years now. Mm-hmm. And in that job, my job's always been over budget. Making sure we had enough inventory, making sure it was going to be there on time, making sure it was the correct inventory, checking over engineer blueprints and all of those things. I currently sit in a seat where I am called a process assurance, which is a trainer. My job is to train people to do the correct processes. I like to tell them, if you believe that we are doing it, that the process does not work, then prove me wrong. Because a lot of people don't like change. So therefore, a lot of people, they continue doing things the wrong way because it's easier, faster. They take shortcuts. I don't believe in shortcuts. But if the process doesn't work, let's find a new process. The only way that we can find out if the process works or not is by doing the actual process. Since I've been a trainer, there has not been anybody who has proved me wrong. Because once we actually do the process and they see that the system works, everything works a whole lot smoothly. I am a Midwest regional trainer. Sorry. Okay. I am the Midwest.
You like how my props attack you here?
Yes. I love it. Keep me on my toes. So I am over the Midwest, so I have several states that I am over. 52 sites. Actually, it's 54 sites because we just built 2 more, in the process of building 2 more, and over 1,000 turbines, over $100 million in inventory. Well over that is what I'm in charge of.
Oh, nice. I did not know that about your husband, by the way.
Oh.
So, sorry for your loss, and thank you for his service. Did you serve too, or?
No, a funny story. When we met, I was actually going to the service.
Really?
Yes, and I had my daughter, my oldest daughter. She had went to go live with my sister, so I can go to the service. Well, one day, she's not big on crying or anything, but one day when I had called her, she was crying. I said, "Well, what's wrong, baby?" And it was right before I was gonna go and take my testing and everything. And I said, "What's wrong?" And she said, "Well, today we had an award ceremony for all the kids that were on honor roll. And since my sister was her, what are they called? Guardian, her legal guardian. She said, everybody else's guardian was there. So she didn't consider anyone else, being parents or whatnot. So everybody else's guardian was there and not mine. And she was hurt. And like I said, that child is one that doesn't cry about anything. She is very forgiving and very loving, and she understands. But I saw that hurt her. And it wasn't on my, it was just bad timing. Kids forget to give parents and adults paperwork. Well, she didn't do the paperwork until the day of, and my sister just could not take off of work. Dang. So that's the only reason why she missed it. So I ended up going ahead and telling them, no, this is going to be hard, because that was going to leave me to be gone for a year plus, after I did the training and AIT and all that stuff. So I ended up staying. But my husband, he actually went to one of the career fairs, and they had talked to him. And next thing you know, he was like, hey, I'm getting ready to leave. I said, where are you going? I'm getting ready to go test. And I'm like, okay. And then he's like, all right, well, I'm doing this. And I'm like, okay, babe. And so he went, and we were only married for 11 months before he passed away. It was just he just took a nap, and his heart just stopped. It wasn't no drugs, no violent crime or anything like that. It was just God saying, it's your time.
How old was he?
28 years old. So that makes it hard to be just your time, right? And that's part of the reason also I'm like, you know what? I can't let time get past me. Mm-hmm. I have to do something now. Make my stamp.
Yeah. Well, I didn't know about that, and thank you very much for sharing it. I know that was probably hard for you.
Now, this was, just so people know, this was 7 years ago.
So now that we kind of got a little history of you, what your qualifications are, a little bit about your family, what made you decide to run for city council? What was the moment that was like, okay, I got to get in city council and see if we can't change some things? What was it that did that for you?
My gotcha moment was when I opened up the newspaper and I saw we spent about $600,000 on some fancy porta potties. Two fancy porta potties. And that was my gotcha moment. That was I am so sick and tired. And my sister said, I'm tired of you complaining. I'm tired of you doing this. Margaret, get involved. Go run. And so she told me to look, and I went to look, and I said, oh, this is an election year. No one's running against, my person. So I'm running.
Nice. I like how you're like, okay, let's do it.
That's just my type of person. That's just who I am. I mean, Monica can tell you, I was always just that, hey, let's get it done. If something's not being done the right way, let me help. We can have a simple plan. We can have a more extravagant plan. Either way, we got to do something different.
So other than trying to keep them from spending $600,000 on a couple of like metal poopers, what are you lobbying for? What are some other things that you're wanting to change? Some things that you're not liking that you're seeing? That was your aha moment. Like, okay, I want to get in here and do something. What are you wanting to get behind? What is like what are you running for? Like, what is your goal?
So my goal is compassion for the homeless, to give not just the homeless a voice, but all of us, to have a permanent solution. Yes, we have shelters, but at the same time, the shelters open from one time to one, and that's at nighttime. So in the daytime, where do they go? Yes, they can look for jobs, they can do this, but we all know not everybody wants to do that. So where do they have to go? So my plan is to set out 4 different areas in town, about an acre long, so a few blocks, and give them a space where they can build their tent cities, because we make it illegal for tents, but where can they go for it? The ordinance right now is, if you build an encampment on a city property, then they can remove you right away. But if you build a tent on a private property or a business, they have to give you a 48-hour notice, kind of like an eviction. It's called abatement.
You guys like how that works? If they do it on city property, the city can move them out whenever they want. If they put it on a business or a personal property, I know because I've dealt with this at a previous location. We've had to evict folks. Not that I'm hard on them, but the fact that we have people camping right next to our building and defecating there, not really good for business. And then we have to take 48, 72 hours to get them removed. It's silly. But the city can remove them right away if they're on their property.
Yes. So, but then again, where do they have to go? You know what I mean? They're tired, and everybody likes to take a nap. You take a nap, don't you?
Oh yeah.
I take a nap. So in the middle of the day, they're just walking. They get tired, they just need to take a nap. Let's give them a place where they can build encampments to take a nap. So that's my compassion for them. That works for all of us. And also our resources can actually go and meet them. It'll be easier to meet them where they are. We need to build them up. We can't say, oh, just go and do this. No, let's meet them where they are. Let's build up their confidence. Let's get them back to working. Let's get a reform going on. I also believe in affordable housing that protects our neighborhoods and our working families, so it's not an eyesore. It doesn't not fit in with the neighborhood.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? We need that for our working families. We also need it for our senior citizens. We need it for everyone. This world is just outrageously expensive nowadays. I've been looking. I don't even think we have an actual affordable housing policy. So
I have no idea. I'm not educated enough on it.
I've been looking, and I haven't found a concrete one. Now, if we do, I apologize. But if we don't, we've had so many people run on affordable housing. But why haven't we gotten a policy in place? Why haven't we made it more stronger? I know we have property maintenance policies, but what about affordable? And I feel like they kind of put affordable housing and landlords and all that in that one, but no, we need an actual policy for affordable housing.
Tell me a little bit about your plan for the homeless. You said an actual area for them. What would that look like? Because you kind of detailed it to me before, and I don't really remember exactly what you had said. Like you had said, make like certain areas for them on like giving them property, and like, hey, if you don't want to work, you can go here. If you do want to work, go here. Just divide them up. What was your plan on that a little bit?
So just to go a little bit more into that, my plan would be to partner up with the businesses around town, big and small, make sure that they are paying a livable wage, not just cheap labor. Mm-hmm. Okay. Hey, can you go and employ one or two, and then kind of build a on-the-job training program where they're training them, building up. So now we're giving them a skill. Also, we can go around, and we have so many abandoned houses. We have so many abandoned buildings, right? We can go and employ them to help us revitalize, remodel these. At the end, we give them a place to stay, right? So now they've got a skill. They've got money. A lot of people, not depression, but money makes the world go around. It throws someone in depression really quick. So, yes, people are going to go and spend money on drugs. People are going to go spend money on alcohol. But people are also going to spend money on housing. They're going to get tired of being on the street, and if they can actually make an affordable wage to actually live somewhere, then that's going to help them and build them up. So that's more like a reform. Now, everyone's not going to want to do that. I get that. That's why we're still going to give them an area that they can be in and do what they do, but just not on my lawn.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't want folks thinking I'm just this horrible, callous person when it comes to these homeless folks, because like you give to I know you help with the hygiene and stuff, like you were talking about it. We support, there's this hygiene group. Baby, do you remember the name of that hygiene company? There's a couple of them, but there's a church that we really like, Church on the Street, I believe it's called, that does hygiene and showers and stuff for folks. And so we actually really care about it. I'm kind of playing devil's advocate on some of this, and I like that you touched, well, there's some of them that don't want, because we've gone out and offered jobs to folks, and they're like, well, here on this block, we don't want work, go to that block. That's why I was kind of getting you to dig into, well, we make it this area for the people that just don't want to work, that aren't going to help themselves, just somewhere for them to go. And then we've got one where we can get almost like a work release, not that they're prisoners or out of prison, but almost like a work release, like help folks get on their feet.
I like to say it like this: I don't want to weed anybody out. I want to weed you in. Mm-hmm. So we're going to figure out how to weed you in, to society where you are successful.
I like that. The abandoned properties, how would you, like, are you saying we use those for housing, or they go and clean that up, or what would that look like?
I believe we should use them for housing. We need, in this way, we don't have to tear it down. We can just remodel it. It's already an established building.
So like the city buys these properties, cleans it up, and we use it for affordable housing. I don't think that's a bad idea at all. So, $600,000 on the bathroom. So you don't like where some of the spending's going. We only really touch on that. Were there any other areas that you're seeing waste and stuff like that? The bathrooms. You know what? I've seen the bathrooms. I haven't actually used them because here's the thing: we go to events at these places and they still put porta-johns, and I'll use a porta-john at it instead of those metal ones. So I've seen them sitting there. I've just never used them myself. They look fancy though.
You know, the funny thing about it is that they're downtown and at event places, and like you said, they still put porta potties
Right.
at those
That's what I'm
facilities.
saying.
But yet they say, you know, this way we don't have to keep scraping poop. I've never seen any. I mean, maybe it's been done out there, but somewhere I've never seen feces is on the sidewalk.
No.
You know, but this is what my city council member, she keeps expressing, our city council member for District 6 keeps on expressing, well, we don't have to keep picking up the poop off the sidewalk. Why wouldn't we put these two things, if it's for that purpose, in highly populated homeless areas?
Yeah.
You know, but that's neither here or there. To touch your question, though, well, there's very much here and there.
Right.
But to touch on your question, here in District 6, personally, we've spent $600,000 on remodeling a dog park. Dirt and Hills. There's a tree line where this dog park is. It's right over here off of 21st Street, close to West Street. But the funny part about it, they even created some shade, a little bit of shading, you know. If they would have put the dog park, stretched it out a little bit, there's a tree line that would actually provide the shade.
I wonder if that would have been cheaper than the $600,000 remodel.
You know, I mean, there. How did we get these contracts? Did we put a price out there and then say, hey, who can do it for this price? Or did we say, hey, can we get a what are they called? My brain's not you know, when they go out to give a quote. Can we get a quote on this? You know, but so just keep with me. So we had $600,000 on remodeling this dog park. We've given, and this is going to be an aha, $750,000 in TIF funds, which TIF funds is for revitalizing the area, is for infrastructure specifically in an area, okay? And where we gave this money at is at the River Village Trail, which is next to the Sims Golf Park, which is over by Botanica. Now, does that area need to be revitalized? And mind you, when we build a community, these developments, so it's a housing community, and this housing community is selling their houses for $350,000 plus. So is that an area that needs to be revitalized? And how are you revitalizing it? I can't afford to live in those houses, you know, for infrastructure. And I don't know if you guys ever lived in
Infrastructure being like potholes in the roads and stuff like that.
Sidewalks. Yes. So I don't know if you guys ever been, because I've bought a house before, and I was looking really hard. And when I was looking, I learned about special taxes. And I was at this time, I didn't know. I hear special taxes, I'm thinking, ooh, discount. And my realtor Mike Reed said, no, Margaret,
Those are your specials.
no, those are extra taxes that you're going to have to pay for infrastructure in this area for them building up this community. So how do we give $750,000 when they already give special taxes and the community has to pay for that, right? So we're going to go one step further. I mentioned that for a really good reason, because we have places on Broadway that is just going down. Businesses are leaving left and right. You can go all down Broadway. We can help those businesses stay in business. Let's help their infrastructure. You know, we can go off of Arkansas when you're going north past almost like 40th Street, just past the highway under the bypass is Earhart Elementary Magnet School.
Yep.
They have about 2 blocks worth of sidewalk, but there's not many buses. So that means the majority of the kids are walking to school or riding to school. Why aren't we caring about their safety? Why isn't that something that was put before a dog park, you know, or this infrastructure, or given this development infrastructure? On 53rd Street, they don't even have a sidewalk.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So I'm running because of accountability. We need to hold our leadership accountability. I want to make sure we are spending money wisely and we are putting the citizens first, that we are listening to the citizens. The citizens say, we do not want this. Then as a district council member that's representing District 6, I'm going to say, no, we don't want this. I'm going to speak out. I'm going to speak up. And not only, even though we are representing our district, we are one vote, right? It takes 4 votes to pass something by. So my vote will also affect something in someone else's district. Like our city council members that voted for the fancy porta potties.
Mm-hmm.
That vote took. So I also have to pay attention to what everybody else is saying too. What's important? So if I'm a city council member, yes, I want to hear from my district. But if you guys really have something at heart that you don't want to know, that you don't want to go get passed in your district, feel free to reach out to me and let me know your passion too. So I can hear a little bit of your side, talk to your district council, see where they're sitting at and so forth. I believe in unity. We have to work. We need to work with the schools. We need to work with the county. We're all right here in Wichita. Yes, we all have our own budgets, but sometimes we fall short in some places and we need to work together.
I like that. And so you've kind of educated me a little bit because we've spoken before. For those that don't understand what the city council does, can you guys kind of a rundown of like what the roles of the city council is? Most people don't even know that, like, those budget plans that you're talking about and stuff, we don't get a vote on that as citizens. It's the council that takes care of that, right? So you want to kind of go into what the city council does for the general population?
Yes, absolutely. So not only are we representing you in that district, but we are also the ones that make the laws, the policies and legislatures. We are the ones that make the ordinance. We are the ones that assign people into their advisory boards or onto different committees. We are the ones that represent you, of course. We have, do have votes. We are in charge of the budget. We are in charge of the levy to making sure that, we don't have any shortfalls.
So since it's really the council that kind of makes all of these decisions, and I've been paying attention now since I've met you and I've been digging a little more into the politics, people aren't really stepping up and voting on this stuff anyways, right? So I saw that there were like maybe a couple thousand votes on some of these things out of, I think we have almost 500,000 people in the general area.
Yes.
Like it's insane to me. So, how can people have their voices heard when it's really the council that makes those decisions? How do they influence their district leader?
Very good question. So we need to start showing up and showing out. Okay. Yes, the city council meeting, we can go to them and we do need to go there. But if we're working, we may not be able to go at 9 o'clock in the morning, but they do have some sessions that are 6 p.m. There's 4 sessions a year. I do believe we need to have more than 4 sessions a year at the 6 p.m. to allow more people to come. But I would start at your DAB meetings. That is your district advisory boards. That's where you find out what's going on. What are the plans for your district? If they're planning on allowing a liquor store to open up, or if they're planning on putting some apartments up or building a house or something like that. Those meetings, there are your district advisory board meetings. So those are the meetings that they should be talking about these things at, and they need you at those meetings to give recommendations, because the DAB meetings actually give recommendations to the city to make their decisions. You have your DAB, and then they also make the recommendations to, it goes even before the city, to MAPC, which is the MAPC. That's where they do your metropolitan planning at. So those are of all your maps or whatnot. Those meetings are very, very important. We need to go to those meetings. That's where they do the backdoor deals at. Those meetings, when they're planning on putting something together, they're talking for a year or so. They're talking for a long time. We need to be a fly in the seat at our MAPC meetings. We need to be at our district or our DAB meetings. If we can't make it to those, if you have a neighborhood association, go to those meetings so you can find out what's going on, because the DAB should be reaching out and letting the neighborhood know. So then you know, and then you should be able to reach out to DAB and say, hey, this is what we feel like we need. Those are where we have the voice. But I've been going to neighborhood association meetings. I've been going to the DAB meetings. I've gone to city council meetings. I've even gone to the city commission meeting. And it's not that many people that show up. We need to show up. We need more diversity on these boards. The Urban League is a wonderful resource for things. Cindy Miles, I believe is her name over there. She's in charge of several things, but one thing that she let me know, because I said I want to get involved and I would like to be on the board. They actually have trainings, and they have help where they help you figure out which board will best suit your core values and get you matched up with the best board and help you get on that board. So I encourage doing things like that. Urban League has so many resources. I encourage a lot of people to reach out.
So how does the general population know about these things? I feel like I don't get notified about, like, there's no newsletter, there's no newspaper. Well, I mean, there might be a newspaper, but nobody reads the newspaper anymore. How are we finding out about these meetings? Like, how do people even know about it?
So we suck in that department. And part of the reason why we suck in that department is because there's so many different outlets, right? You got so much social media. So I do see things on Facebook. You got TikTok now. You got Snapchat now. When I come in office, I'm just gonna call it.
Oh yeah, I believe in that self-prophecy.
When I come into office, that is one thing that I plan on being big and heavy. You know, if we have a lot of people that show up at these sports complex, because it seems like we are a sports complex town, then we need to make sure we have ads at those sports complexes, not just the recreations. We need ads everywhere. You know, maybe we need a billboard. Right now, currently as it sits, we do have Facebook. Our meetings are on YouTube. You can go to wichita.gov to find out anything, find out your district, find out what we're doing in your district, find out what we're doing in Wichita, find out if there's any surveys. You are correct. There was not very many people that filled out the survey for the budget. We as a people can help shape the mode of the budget, but we have to show up. So if that means we need to go and check wichita.gov 3 times a week, 4 times a week, check it like it's your Facebook, check it like with whatever social media that you like, you know what I mean? Then do that, because this is what matters. We need more diversity on these boards and committees. And I'm not just talking about race. I'm talking about age as well.
I feel like some of this stuff is almost a little secretive, like almost like it's
Yes.
held away from the general population. Because before I met you and started getting to know you and actually digging into this stuff, like I had to look to find this
Yes.
stuff out. Like it doesn't feel like it's supposed to be public knowledge, right?
Yes.
It's supposed to be, but I don't feel like it really is.
I agree. I feel like it's in the shade room, because it
Yeah.
took a long time for me to find the things. You know, a lot of Google searching and all these things, asking people questions. And so I definitely think that we need to get the word out and publicize a whole lot more.
If you get elected, how could you impact that to make sure people are getting notified and knowing more? Like, is there anything you could do to help us know, hey, we've got a meeting coming up, you guys need to be at this one because it's important? Other than your personal social media and putting videos out, is there anything that you could do or help impact to notify more people so that we are finding out? Because they're just not loud about it. This is all done quietly, and unless you're looking for it, you don't know what's happening. So is there anything you could do to help with that?
Yes, I would actually try to work with the news stations and see if maybe we can have a 5-minute corner,
Oh, that'd be good.
you know, where we're just talking about what's going on in the city, and maybe 2 or 3 times a week. You know, a lot of people actually do look at the news. The news has a very high following, you know, on social medias and everything like that. I think that would be a cool little thing to do, is a little sector corner like that. I would believe in, because we spend money on so many things anyways, making sure we have more billboards up that's saying wichita.gov, you know.
What about like some of them? I bet if we put like a digital billboard over
Yes.
like 135 that tells when meetings are, people are driving by, hey, we've got a meeting at this time. I bet that would get a
Absolutely.
lot of people there.
Absolutely.
Because if we've only got a couple hundred or a couple thousand people showing up and voting on these things, what power do we really have?
Yes.
Like,
And we're given a small amount of people, because like you said, we have over 500,000 people here in Wichita, which is the biggest city in Kansas. So that's crazy.
Yeah, and only a couple thousand people
Yeah,
are making
so we're
these
not even talking
decisions.
about a 10%.
Yeah, that's really
You know?
crazy to me. So, what is your ultimate goal? Is it city council, or are you kind of stopping there? You just want to get in and help the city? What's Margaret Shabazz's goal in the long term here? Let's say over the next 10 years, 5 years.
I'm glad you asked that. My ultimate goal is to get in the state house. I would like to be a state house representative, and people say, why stop there? Because a lot of things don't get passed because we can't get it out of the house. So I think if I was in the state house, I can help some things by having an extra seat, get things passed and moved along, you know, so we can get changes in Kansas. Like marijuana should have been passed. We are missing the mark. Every state that touches us
Is legal.
is legal.
In some form or fashion.
Yes, in some form or fashion. And we are missing the mark there. I believe that minimum wage, you know, $7.75 or $7.25.
That hasn't been touched in a while.
Yes. There's a quite a bit of things that we are missing the mark on, and if we were to help, it will help our revenue out, so we don't have to keep taxing the people. You know, I do believe even as a city council member, I don't know if people know this, but as a city council, we can actually lobby our state representatives and our house representatives, and there were things that I would lobby while I'm in the city, you know. I also think that, well, you haven't asked this question, so I won't.
No, go ahead.
Okay.
I'm down for it.
So I think we missed the mark on a lot of things. Like, I don't know if you read the paper here recently, but you're in Park City, right?
I am in Park City.
Okay, so Park City is getting ready.
I saw that. You talk about the new theme park, right?
Yes.
I did read that. I read that.
$500 million dollar bond, where they're gonna an aquarium.
But it's going to be like Oceans of Fun.
I know, and we've missed the mark on that. Really, casino. They're expanding their casino. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
They're gonna have an aquarium in there. They're gonna have shopping, restaurants, things that's gonna bring hundreds of thousands of tourism. You know, and then we got Mulvane. They have a casino there. We have Derby. They're building a
everything
man-made
around
beach.
Wichita.
Everybody around Wichita. When I go out of town, they say, "Where you from?" I say, "I'm from Wichita, Kansas." They say, "Oh, Wichita Falls, Texas." They add a whole nother name in there and change the state. You know what I mean? I say, "No, Wichita, Kansas." They say, "Oh, from Kansas City." We're missing the mark. But yet we keep on taxing our people. Something ain't right here.
You know, it's kind of, so watching this theme park coming up, it kind of brings me to mind that other one that they had out there that was a huge flop. Dude got
The Wild
arrested.
Wild West.
Yes. Oh my
It
God.
was cute though. I liked it. I went.
Did you really?
I did get to go. TT was too. I got to go.
I didn't go, but this kind of reminds me of all of that. And we saw how that worked. So anytime we're putting those big, giant budgets into stuff, I always kind of wonder how it's going to turn out. Because that last one, we put a massive chunk of money into it, and it flopped. Bankrupted, dude was arrested. Not saying that's going to happen with this water park or whatever, but it's interesting to know that we can be part of these things and look at them, and people should get out and vote on these things. But yeah.
I think they're definitely... They're hitting the mark with
or not vote, get out and be heard.
Yes.
Because we can't vote.
Well, no, you have to vote on that bond.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, that's right.
So
that's
they
right.
actually do have the people voting on it. And I think that that's the best thing ever. Where's the closest aquarium to Wichita?
Kansas City, isn't it?
Yep. We have one in Kansas City. There's one in Tulsa, on the way to Tulsa. And then... I don't know about Oklahoma City, but I know Dallas.
Well, now you're going to have one 5 minutes from my house.
Now we're going to have 5 minutes away. You know what I mean? A few years ago, before COVID, I don't know if you guys remember this, but there was a company that wanted to come and invest like $1 billion or something into Wichita, Kansas. Now, what they proposed was the first skyscraper in Kansas. Kansas does not have a skyscraper at all.
Mm-hmm.
All right. They proposed an aquarium. They wanted to bring a space and aircraft museum. They wanted to put a Ferris wheel just smack dab in the middle of town. This would have produced tourism. What happened with that?
Nothing. I ain't seen them.
haven't seen or heard anything else.
This
is something that Wichita needs to be seeking out. I was looking at one of our boards, our committee boards is the tourism board, and everybody on that board. So when you're on a board, you're allowed to do a 4-year term. So 2 years at a time. Everybody on that board is expired. I mean, they can't run anymore, but they're just sitting there. Why aren't we paying attention to this and get someone on this board?
Well, Wichita doesn't really even have. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No.
I was sitting here thinking about this. I was trying to think of any tourist attraction that Wichita even has. Do we
Every
have a tourist attraction?
Every 2 to 4 years, we got the NCAA.
Yeah. Oh, we got Cowtown.
We
Kind of. Does that?
yeah,
would that be
we got
considered?
Cowtown.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean,
we have the zoo. Our zoo.
The zoo. There you go.
Is nationally
There you go.
ranked. It is a beautiful zoo,
That
but
is.
really, how many is it bringing millions?
Yeah.
You
no,
know,
no,
if
no.
we get people here, then we can get them to the zoo. But
Well,
we
and
need
I
to
would
get
never
somebody
really
here.
travel somewhere just to go to the zoo either. Like,
Well, a lot of people do actually.
really?
Yes.
Come here just to see our zoo?
Yes, I like I said, you know, on my job, I used to travel. I do not travel anymore with the job, but I used to have to travel to Missouri, Iowa, and all these things. And people would I would hear people talk about Wichita Zoo,
Really?
and that they do take trips to Wichita for their zoo.
Well, that's something
need
we
more
take for
things.
granted because we live here.
Yes.
I haven't even been to the zoo in a minute. We've been talking about it, but I haven't been.
But then we have once a year we have the Riverfest.
Yeah. People travel here to see the Riverfest?
Yeah, when I was at Riverfest, somebody came from Texas. I met someone from Texas, but
Really?
that's still just.
I know vendors come through from
Oh
other states.
yeah,
to
and they
vend.
kill on our money, right?
Yeah, I mean, they come and take a lot of money out of Wichita.
Yes,
They
yes.
travel all over the place to come get money. I
Yes.
don't know that I didn't know people would
Yes.
actually travel here to attend it.
Yes. So we're missing some marks, but yet we have $600,000 to remodel a dog park. We have $750,000 to give to a high price development. We have $600,000 to build. To put
You know,
in some.
I'm gonna go. I've got to go use one of these bathrooms. These metal shiny bathrooms. I got to go use one. I haven't even used one yet.
Use
what are
one
you
and tell me what you discover.
Oh yeah,
I
you
don't-
haven't
I don't
gone over
wanna-
there to use it yet?
I haven't, but
You
I've
know-
heard of some
I got-
discoveries that I don't want to just tell. You know, so you tell me of what you discover when you go.
Well, if they're saying they're doing it for the homeless population, and I've seen kind of what homeless population does and stuff. If this is specifically made for homeless people, I don't know that I want to use that bathroom. Honestly,
You know,
I'll go in there and check it out. I mean, it looks shiny. I wonder, do they pay people to clean it at least? Like
I believe so.
Yeah. Oh, okay. That's probably part of that 600. No.
So I do want to bring up one other thing that is a thing that our citizens are also complaining about. That I would like to address the paid parking.
Yeah.
A lot of people did speak up against it. I do understand why they are doing it, but there are some things that I do not. I think we should not be doing. I don't think we should be paying a third party out of the state.
We are doing that.
Yes, to manage the paid parking. I also don't think my city council member at a DAB 6 meeting in July 14th said one of the highlights were, you know, it's not fair to people that come to city buildings and they just need to go in there for an hour or two when there's no parking because a city worker is parked there for 8 hours. I don't believe a city worker, if you work down, or not a city worker, but a downtown worker, I believe you should be exempt from paying
Paid parking.
parking.
Yeah. No, I would agree with that completely.
I think, and so to have to go to work and be charged to work, you know what I mean? To have my car here. And I do know there is previous paid parking down there, you know, but that's just something I just think is not right. And I don't think my city council member should have said it. I believe in the working people. We
They don't have,
already
like-
not paying them good wages.
They don't have like parking passes or anything like that. I would think that they would do a parking pass for employees of the building.
That's what I would think too. So it's something that I have to look into, but it's just something that my city council member had mentioned, and that was kind of like selfish to me.
Mm-hmm.
And to boldly say it out loud.
Yeah,
You know?
we're going to charge people to park there and
Yeah,
work.
because it's not fair that you work there and you have to be there for 8 hours and take up a parking spot. Well, let's give them designated parking, and let's not make it 10 blocks away from their job so they have to walk there either.
Mm-hmm.
Let's give them some spaces.
I like that. So I'm going to do a quick recap here on some of the things that we talked about and just make sure I'm accurate on them. And then also I want you to make sure people know when to vote, who they're voting for, how to find you, and that kind of stuff. So just a quick recap here. You're going to work on making sure we're not just blowing money as a city. You're going to make sure that you're working to make sure that people know when they need to go to these meetings and know how to speak up, know that their voices are heard. And you're kind of speaking out against, they're already wasting money on like these bathrooms that they're wasting money on. They're dumping chunks of money, the TIFs you said, into areas that don't really need that, whereas we have other places that can do it. So that's kind of what you're fighting against, is wasting this money, homeless people not being taken care of properly, or they're damaging businesses. And so that's kind of a twofold thing there. They damage the business and the people that are coming into the business, but they also don't have anywhere to go.
Exactly.
So that's something you're wanting to work on.
And it's more of a threefold thing, because I remember I mentioned reform and building up housing and having them built. So then that's also creating affordable housing.
Yeah. These vacant houses. I like that a lot. Well, Ms. Margaret, how do people find you? When do they need to vote? Do you have socials? You want to kind of just look right at that camera and talk to the folks here. You're talking to them. Tell them what you want them to remember about you, how they can find you, and when they need to vote.
Thank you. My name is Margaret Wheeler Shabazz. You could find me on Facebook as Margaret Wheeler Shabazz, Wichita District 6. Please go to my website, Shabazz for Change. That's SHAB as in boy, AZZ for change.com. You can donate. You can request a sign. You can say, hey, Margaret. You can send me a message. I am running to leave a legacy of leadership and a future in accountability, to bring decorum back, to be the people's voice. I speak up and I speak out. Remember that. Thank you.
I love that, Margaret. Thank you so much for being on the show. It's always a pleasure talking to you. Thank you for coming on.
Thank you. Pleasure as well.